Hello, good morning and welcome back to the Fish Locker out on a beautiful day on the boat. In here we have a bit of seaweed, a male brown edible crab that is just below minimum landing size, and this absolute freaking sea monster. Now that is a proper one. Holy Christ. I don't want to let it get hold of my fingers, that's for sure. Ah, well. Yeah. That one is an absolute monster. When he's got rolled at pot like that, there's not much I can do with him. You need to kind of, there you go, see. Look at the size of it. Oh my word. That is, that's probably the biggest brown crab that I've caught on the channel. Look at the size of his claws. Oh my gosh. I'll put him down in a bucket if I've got one big enough. I have come round to Jim's. I have brought the colossal crab.
A monster pan, which is on a rolling boil.
Salted water in there.
Heavily salted water.
And today we're going to be cooking
crab cakes.
Crab cakes. We did do a video a while back on roasted red pepper crab cakes, and they were absolutely delicious. I've been asking Jim for them ever since. So, yeah,
we're going to do those today. So
yeah.
Let's get this fellow attended to, and then we'll come back to the other ingredients.
We've dispatched the crab and got it in on the boil. Now, the cooking a shellfish, we've covered it in loads of videos. It's really simple, and it works the same as it does crabs and lobsters. That's that we use either clean seawater or fresh water with salt added. Get the water to a full rolling boil, as in like a proper bubbling boil. Get the crab or the lobster in. When it comes back up to the rolling boil, 2 more minutes after that, and it comes out. We've got a basin of cold water, a cold plunge. So as soon as they finish cooking, get it straight into the cold water. That stops it cooking, because the shell retains some heat and it will continue to cook and become overcooked. Now, while we're doing that, Jim, what are you preparing?
Oh, I'm just peeling some spring onions, scallions for our viewers across the pond. Just removed the rough outer leaves, and the white parts and the tender green will go into our mix, which will be mashed potato based. This is some mashed potato left from last night's supper. To that I'll add a couple of spoonfuls of mayonnaise. But spring onions, these are a jar of roasted red peppers, and I'm just letting them drain to get rid of excess liquid, and these are a wonderful product there.
You can roast your own.
You could roast your own, but this is, they were a couple of pounds for the jar, and you get a good amount. So I'll probably chop half of that and half of that quantity and put it into our mix. We'll make up some chili and roast pepper mayonnaise. Got some coriander somewhere. That too will go into the crab mix, and I've got a third of a pack of Jacob's cream crackers which I put into the Kenwood blender, and we'll just give those flicks, and then we'll pass the cracker crumbs through the crab mix, and that will form its own coating, so when we pan fry them. Well, that's the theory. If not, I've got my supermarket discounted bread rolls, which I blitzed up this morning, and if we need to add some breadcrumbs or coat them in breadcrumbs, we can do so. So let's see. When the crab is cooked and picked off, we'll make the mix up, and then we'll taste it and check for seasoning, if it needs more chili or whatever. we'll make it up as we go along. Let's stay true to form. Again, there will be no specific quantities because that's what I hard left.
I was just about to say, I said, for anybody that's going to ask for specific quantities, you're probably not going to get them.
No. But there's, I don't know, what would that be? Two?
It'd
We're
be
starting with
1.5
3
servings.
Your servings, 3 for anybody else, John. Anyway, before we go any further, the eagle-eyed will notice I treated myself to some Japanese cookware. I did go into a really lovely knife boutique in Tokyo. Well, it just blew me away. But I picked these up in a supermarket, and it's a joy to use, and a nice little paring knife which rather attracted me. Again, only a few pounds. And talking of Japan, that holiday, Himeka, Kanichiwa, and there was somebody else I said I've had to get his card out, but Yuki from the Mitsui Garden Hotel. We stayed in that chain of hotels all over Japan. Bloody fantastic. They are great.
I'll put that information into the description of the video in case you didn't see the card.
Yes. Anyway, it's gone. What are we doing here today?
Crab cakes.
Crab cakes, that's it. One thing at a time. This must be very nearly there.
We'll just check.
That's
a proper rolling boil there now.
That's what.
So he'll need like another minute on top of that, and he'll be out.
Then we'll be out. It's all right. I've got him balanced. There we go. I'm just going to run the cold tap over that, John.
Yeah. Well, I can feel him underneath the cold water there. He's still hot. And then I'll start picking him off. I'll show you through the stages of picking the crab meat out. You can, if you haven't got access to crabs like this, like what we do, or you don't want to go to the trouble of picking it yourself, you can go to like wet fish merchants and you can buy crab meat and just buy like white meat or brown meat, or you can even go to the supermarket and get crab in cans, can't you?
Most supermarkets sell tinned crab meat. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's inexpensive.
Running a cold tap whilst you're pouring this down, so it
doesn't melt the plastic.
Crab's cooled down now, so what I'm going to do is you break them. I'll deal with this. I'll take the claws and the legs off. I'll pick all the claws and the legs, and then I'll deal with the meat that's inside the shell. So all you need to do is just turn it against its joint and rip them out. Inside of each section of here and inside of here is where your white meat is. Inside of here is where your brown meat is. That'll make sense as I show you. Now, everything is all segmented, as in there's a join there and a join there. All you need to do is just turn it against its joint.
It was a very satisfying
and then
snap.
You can see all of the meat inside of here. I'm just using the back end of a spoon. You over here.
Cool.
And you can just scoop out all of the meat. Now, I prefer to do it like this rather than smashing the shell, just because you don't get any little tiny fragments of shell in there. You'll just get, it all stays together and you can scoop all the meat out, and there's all the white meat. And I'll just work my way through now, through the other segments. There we are. There's all the shells, there's some of the meat, and I'm just going to crack the top open. Now what I'm going to do is you work along that same, in fact I'll hand that camera to you.
Got it.
Try to do it in a controlled manner rather than splitting it everywhere. There. Like that. Now, inside of there is all the internal organs. We'll be discarding that. Inside of all of here will be white meat. These are the gills. But around the back of there, up inside the shell, up in there, and up in there, inside of here, is where all the brown meat is.
And the most flavour.
Right, I've picked out all the leg sockets and all the knuckles.
everything in that bowl has come out of that cage, hasn't it?
There is nothing left but a couple of bits to pick out there, and this is all going to be going into a stock anyway. So
it is.
That's the claws and the legs. That's the meat that's come out of the body shell, and there's the brown meat out of the wings. So all that's come out of one crab.
Amazing. Right, a final tidy up and let's get cooking.
Just of an update of where we're at. We've got the white meat. You have mushed up a little bit of the brown meat.
Brown meat, I've just mashed that with a fork.
Now that's more for flavour than anything else, isn't it? Because there isn't much of a texture to that.
No, but it's got the flavour we'd be looking for. So in this bowl I have, what did we say, about 3 reasonable sized portions of leftover mashed potato. There's a bunch of spring onions. I've chopped up the white and the nice green parts, and there's 3 dessert spoons of Hellmann's mayonnaise gone in there, and just going to add some lemon zest. Won't put any juice in yet. We'll have a taste when we finished making the mix up. So these are 2 of the roasted peppers from the jar, and I've had those draining on, sandwiched in some kitchen paper.
Well, that's it. The more moisture that you add to everything here, the softer your crab cakes are going to be, aren't they?
Yes. So just want that roughly chopped.
Oh, the smell that we're getting from the lemon and the peppers is delicious.
I love using these roasted peppers. I'm just going to keep a little bit back.
Now this is a contentious subject we keep finding whenever we're doing crabs or lobsters. Is the brown meat there? That isn't the internal organs. That isn't the digestive system. That isn't those types of things. Because as I've covered in other videos, if a crab has ever ingested anything that's harmful, it's harmful bacteria or that's harmful chemicals, it's concentrated on its internal organs. Now the brown meat, the fat, is from the sides of the shell. It's not the centre where like its intestines are.
I hope people understand.
The number of times that we have to explain it.
There's a lot of misinformation.
God, that is great crab meat. That
It's
crab.
Beautiful. I'm using this is all the claw and the leg meat, because the finer meat from the cage, I will save that for a crab sandwich on.
There is a lot to be said about the simple ways of eating stuff. I love like a fresh white bread bun with a little bit of butter and just white crab meat. It's delicious.
Maybe a splash of vinegar and
yeah,
grind of pepper.
Whatever floats your boat, you can put whatever you want in it, can't you?
You can indeed. Now, let's go. We just want to incorporate.
Yeah, you're not pureeing it, are you? You're just mixing it.
We want to see the crab. We want to see chopped peppers. And before we do anything with the mix, we'll taste it. Everything is cooked apart from the spring onions.
And it's all down to your own personal preference for flavour, isn't it?
Indeed. Oh, let's just eat it cold. It's lovely.
You'll find that you don't need to add any salt for anything like that because there's enough salt comes through with the crab and everything, isn't there?
There's no salt in there. I hadn't salted the mash. Just going to put that in there. If you want to put some chopped chilli through there, do so. I'm going to make some roasted red pepper and chilli mayonnaise, and we can add that. I'm just going to use the last of the claw and leg meat.
Looking a little bit lonely sat in there in that bowl, was it?
Well, I'm still tasting it, and those spring onions have been sat in the mash. At the moment, that's the predominant flavour. Okay, coriander. Let's use the.
I'm not a
stalks
massive fan of coriander, but just the right amount of it is.
Is it just enough?
It just improves it, doesn't it? It doesn't.
So that's the stalky ends. I prefer to use flat leaf. It's slightly more peppery.
I was just going to say it's slightly more peppery than curly leaf, isn't it?
Again, we don't want it finely chopped. We want the flavour in the bowl and not into the chopping board. So we'll fold those in. That looks pretty good to me. Right, John, let's get a couple of spoons.
Those a mixture of the meat and the peppers and a little tiny bit of that parsley on top of it. That is absolutely delicious.
I would sit and eat that cold from the bowl.
Well, in a sandwich that would be.
Oh,
yeah.
Mashed
Sandwich
potato
filling.
crab spread. Sounds horrendous, but tastes gorgeous. Right.
That was just like half a dozen Jacob's crackers, wasn't it?
Yes. Again, I'll just keep a little bit back.
This is just going to give it a little bit of body in it and take a bit of the moisture out.
So give it some holding capability and hopefully provide us with a little crispy coating, and thereby avoiding
the need of breadcrumbs.
Yes,
I've got you.
but I've got something planned for those breadcrumbs when we do our monkfish cook. I think James wants a scampi, doesn't he? Monkfish, the poor man's lobster.
People keep saying that.
Yeah,
never in my lifetime has it ever been poor man's lobster.
Well, it was never. I remember.
We're talking about monkfish, as in like anglerfish. Now, at some point in time in history, it was considered as being
memory for some of us.
Well, yeah.
It was
somewhere back in history, it was considered as being like poor man's food. It wasn't as highly sought after as it is now. So yeah, it was used for scampi. Scampi now, proper scampi, is langoustine tails, like nephrops. But because monkfish was so cheap back then, they used to make scampi out of monkfish. That's what we're talking about. That's in another video though.
Right, John, I put on a pair of gloves just to manhandle these. On this tray are the remains of the cracker crumbs, and I've just put a handful of breadcrumbs in. So the mixture is holding up well. We could have put some more bread or crackers in there if we needed to make it drier.
What would you add to it if it was a little bit too dry? Just like a drop of milk or a drop of water? Or?
Spoonful of mayonnaise.
Oh yeah, okay.
And again, if we needed some seasoning or some chilli.
I mean, we were quite generous with the crab meat, weren't we?
Yes.
We're fortunate in the fact that we've got quite a bit of it. If you wanted to make it go further, you'd add more mash, wouldn't you?
Let's cook some of these. Of course, we don't need to cook all of these. I could shape those up and freeze them.
I thought you could make it into like a sausage, wrap it in cling film.
You could freeze that mixture. Well, I would make it into the cakes. If you were making some sort of fish or shellfish casserole or stew in the oven, you could shape these up and cook them on the top as an alternative to dumplings.
That's something I was going to ask there. Obviously, crab cakes aren't going to be any good for anybody who's got a shellfish allergy. But you could use ling, couldn't you? Ling is quite fibrous.
Oh, I think we've done that, haven't we?
We've made coffees before, haven't we?
Yes, you could blitz
So to substitute the crab that you put in here, you could use ling, because ling's quite a fibrous meat. So just cook it, then break it down, crumble it, and then mix it in instead of the crab, so you could have fish cakes instead of crab cakes.
Yeah.
Oh, they look absolutely wonderful.
It's like getting good at anything. Practice. You only learn by your errors. Crab cakes are cooking. Let's make some roasted pepper mayo. I'm just using Hell's mayo for convenience.
So what was left out of the jar of peppers?
Yeah,
A good few dollops of mayonnaise.
Yep. There's some parsley. Roughly chop that. Chili crew there. Got some garlic somewhere.
Just going to check those crab cakes. So you've browned them off, and you just take them off to cook the rest, and they can all go in the oven, so they're all warm together.
Yes, so we'll leave those two in there. I've got the oven on, cooking our supper, so they'll just sit in there and hold for a couple of minutes. Half a garlic.
It's colourful, I'll give it that. You don't need anything?
No. No, that's
Got it right first time.
good for me.
We've tidied down the remainder of the crab cake mix. I have bagged it up, and I'll be taking it home and putting that in the freezer. Just stick it in the fridge for now. And here we are.
Give you that.
Thank you very much.
One.
They just smell absolutely wonderful. And I'm excited, we've already tried them before they were cooked.
So you can dip forkfuls into that, and then we won't be
contaminated. So you can double dip to your heart's content.
Yeah, my
nice,
Japanese
then.
ceramic bowls. Right, I'm going in. There's some lemon there if you feel you need it. We could, of course.
I'm just looking at the steam coming off. I'm waiting for you to scold yourself. Good.
Very
well. My mouth's watering, so I'm going to get stuck in.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. You could, Jim's just said, you could just keep eating them. They are absolutely wonderful.
I think I might.
I think it wouldn't be one of those ones where, like, when you go to a restaurant, you get 3 little tiny ones as a starter. You need 4 or 5 of these big ones, wouldn't you? Because they are absolutely wonderful. The flavour as well. It's not the cake itself isn't overly strong of anything, is it? You get the peppers, you get the crab, you get the coriander, you get the parsley, you get everything.
Everything is quite well balanced.
And then with the
dipping sauce.
No, I can't even speak. There's that many flavours going around my mouth. The dipping sauce just adds that extra, like, cold, fresh layer to it all, doesn't it? Also the Jacob's crackers in the mix have crisped up nicely on the outside. So when I don't know if you can see them there. When you're biting into it, you do get like a little bit of a crunch from the outside, but it wasn't mixed up that much that it was all mushy. You've still got your crab meat, you've still got your peppers, you've still got your onions, you've still got all the different bits.
I'm going to have another.
I'm going to have another in a second. I'm just going to clear my plate first. Right, we're just finished up now. I've been back for seconds, but I've had to stop myself because Jim cooked a few extra ones, so we'd have some for supper. And if I keep going, he's going to have none left.
I'll be famished like this. They were.
Well, you can see they're absolutely delicious, and the dipping sauce, and that was a wonderful accompaniment for it.
It is. I was thinking whilst I was eating those, if we get a couple of mackerel, they would make a very inexpensive fish cake with a good salad, some new potatoes, and a spoonful of that. That's a robust flavour without.
It's quite a cool flavour. It's not going to stay in your mouth for over long after you've eaten it.
No, but no. Again, I just surprised myself. All I could say is keep practicing. I do. Every day is a school day.
Every day is a school day. I hope you enjoyed joining us. I hope you found it interesting. All the very best.
And we'll see you again soon. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.